In relation to the Tamil family and the enduring pressure from the community to allow the family to settle in Australia, how determined is the Australian government to use them as an example of their tough stance on asylum seekers? How far-reaching would the political ramifications be if the government allowed them to settle in Australia?
Sally, you raised before just these issues, didn't you, of asylum seekers and using offshore detention. How do you see this, Mike?
I don't know what the government's doing with this family. It's a joke. Like, enough is enough. And also, those two girls are Australians. Like, what political game are they playing at? And what's happened to our humanity that we allow this to happen? Like... Yeah. They're Australian citizens. The detention centres, you know, like it's not like a happy camping place. Like the detention centres, they were fleeing huge risk. They took huge risks to come to Australia, and they were fleeing so much issues in their own countries. Like they wanted a better life, and we've stuck them in detention centres when, like, government's been talking about how we need more people to come and work in, you know, picking fruit and all this sort of stuff, but we're willing to spend millions over there on detention centres, millions over here doing whatever they want to do, but the political will, let them come in. Why are we resettling Australians? Like, I just don't understand why this is still a topic. And also, where is the, you know, everyone's expecting Scott Morrison to have this call, and he bounces back to the Home Minister and all of this sort of stuff, and they shift the blame every time, which is what they do with Aboriginal affairs anyway. But the thing with all of that is, like, where is our leadership? Where is our leadership? Because it's not just Scott Morrison, it's every single minister in the Parliament House there. What are they doing about it? And what is our leadership? Where is our voices for these communities? It's enough is enough.
Kamalini, can I bring you in here as someone of Sri Lankan heritage? You've worked in Sri Lanka as well. How do you see this?
Look, I think Sally said everything about the humanity. I actually, and that it's the right thing to do, but I think appealing to, clearly our government on the basis that it's the right thing to do hasn't worked, right? It's a terrible thing to say, but it hasn't. But, you know, yesterday Scott Morrison gave a speech where clearly he has recognised the importance of multilateralism, right? That we can't go it alone, no country can go it alone. And the fact is that if you acknowledge that you need multilateralism, that means you support all of it. So you can't just expect the international community to respect trade, international agreements, security, agriculture, fisheries, and then at the same time carve off Christmas Island for the purposes of the Refugee Convention. We have ratified the Refugee Convention that carries clear responsibilities, and acting like it doesn't undermines the international order.
Can I just quickly, just quickly, we need to move on to our next question, but Omar, and then quickly from
this is something that really energises doctors, and it's something that we've written about, we've made public comment. I've personally spoken to the previous Home Affairs Minister. The harm that's being done to these children, whether they're refugees or not, is irrelevant. They are children, they were born in this country. The idea they're not Australian is ridiculous, and the idea that by allowing this family to resettle in Australia, that we will somehow weaken our border controls, that the boats will suddenly start coming to Australia, is also ridiculous. Yep. So as a father, I would really like to appeal to Karen Andrews as a mother to say, do the right thing. It is completely in the Home Affairs Minister's discretion to let this family stay in Australia, and that's what she should do immediately.
I agree with what's been said, but I think the question, I forgot your name, where are you? Yeah, I think your sort of cynical view was the accurate one, is that it's like this because the key political decision makers want it to be like this, and it doesn't matter how many millions they need to spend locking this family up. That's how they show politically, through the theatre of politics, that they're tough on borders, and people seem to like that. So it's completely intentional. We're not going to get there by appealing to their soft spot.
Sorry, just quickly. And that's the thing, where you look at it and go, Australia our ranking when it comes to our rights of our children is so low. Like our ranking, our humanity is lost, and everyone calls us the lunky country. What? Not if you're a child.
I do want to get to the next question because it's an important one to close on. But Peter, can I get a quick comment from you about when we hear from the government on this, it's about processes. It's about who meets criteria. It's about following that so that you have an orderly process. That's what we're hearing. There are processes here. So what is the consideration in this case?
Well, the consideration was to defeat a crisis, which was the boats. That was a decade ago.
Boats came
The crisis
250 years
crisis
ago,
is well and truly past. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
Yeah. Can we just
250 years ago. So.
Yeah. The crisis was a decade ago. There's no threat from the border any longer. So that was the policy. To persist in this case would, in my view, be performative cruelty. To shut this family out and these girls who are, as Sally says, Australian citizens. The minister has total discretion. The Minister for Immigration or Home Affairs uses that ministerial discretion over immigration cases every day. Almost none of them get any coverage. It's completely within discretion. Declare this an exceptional set of circumstances, allow them to stay.